Hello everyone, today in this video we'll fight against the advanced character of our world around us, and this time we will try to briefly answer one important question that torments brains of many people, especially the ones who are more idealistic and tend to fall to some ideologies or theories and sometimes neglect the reality and the human nature itself, which is the integral part of our reality. What is the question I would like to try to answer today? The question is as follows: Why do some political systems, so social arrangement, economical arrangement as well, why do they fall quite quickly? Like communism, like other utopias, uh, for instance, the communities of uh, Anabaptism in Münster, they turn out to be one big terror and misconception, and many other utopian communities, like for instance, going to the current times in the 60s and 70s, the community of the Renevent Jones, who migrated with his followers to Guyana, and later in 1978 they committed one of the largest collective suicides in history. Almost 1,000 people killed themselves, not all of them willingly, and it finished really bad because the utopian paradise that was supposed to develop in Guyana once they leave United States and start living close to nature somehow didn't work. But such social experiments that are not connected well to the reality, and unfortunately they don't work, like the experiments on a small scale introduced, the ones I mentioned, like Renevent Jones and his followers who ended up badly in Guyana, the commune of Anabaptists in Münster in the 20s of the 16th century, and many other communism, like many other communities, communizing communities, let's call it like this, so trying to introduce something to communism where people do not have private property, everyone is in quotation equal and possesses the same, and so on. But such experiments, to larger or lesser extent, were also introduced on a large scale, on the scale of entire country or on the scale of entire block of the countries. Here I'm talking about the countries that had this system not so long ago, so former Eastern Bloc countries, also military, connected, majority of them by military alliance known as Warsaw Pact. And within these countries, the communistic system, so-called equality and social justice. When I hear equality and especially social justice, I'm getting sick and want to escape. But in these countries, officially, these two things, equality and social justice, were supposed to be introduced, and socialist paradise was about to emerge, at least in theory. But what really emerged? Terror, poverty, and oppression by the Communist Party members who were uh, who were nothing more than practical, economical, and political and military elite of these countries, exploiting any other people mercilessly, and introducing, as they were calling it, the dictatorship of proletariat. Of course, it was not a dictatorship of proletariat, in fact, it was a dictatorship of the members of the party. I know that this guy is not liked because of his later activity as a Prime Minister of Norway, 1942-1945, Mr. Vidkun Quisling, who was the leader of the government in Norway, which collaborated with National Socialistic Germany, so Third Reich, which occupied the Norway 1940 to 1942, sorry, 1945. But he, when he was young, he was, like many young people those days, due to the Bolshevik propaganda, fascinated by communism. And he even was working in the Soviet Union as a member of different uh, embassies, charity organizations, and so on. And he saw the daily life practices of the early Soviet Union. His writings describing this reality are really valuable because he wrote that party members and their bureaucratic apparatchiks live quite well on the cost of the others who are practically starving. That is why his writings are really valuable. There are also other witnesses of the early Soviet regime because this was very much isolated country, and the only information that was reaching to a larger number of people was the information the government in Moscow wanted the people outside to know. Therefore, such eyewitness accounts like the one from Mr. Witkun Quisling and some of the attaché from the other countries, cultural attaché, like one, I don't remember his surname, but one of the French priests who was having his small parish, Roman Catholic parish in Moscow for the diplomats and not numerous foreigners who were living in Moscow those days. He also wrote the account about Soviet Union, how he sees early Soviet Union, how he sees the reality there, and later his account was used by Pope Pius XII to prepare his encyclics in which he condemned communism. So that's why these accounts of people who saw it on their own are really valuable, and they should be given to young people and to every idealist who wants to introduce system which fails. And why, like the systems I mentioned to you from the uprising of Aristonikos in the 20s of the 2nd century BC, in which Aristonikos, the usurper who was claiming to be the descendants of the Attalids dynasty, whose the last representative, Attalos III, in 133 BC, gave in the testament his state to the Roman Republic. Aristonikos 4 years later, so 129 BC, started uprising with the poorest layers of the society, which were attracted by his vision of the state of the sun, where everyone is equal. So, of course, the uprising was bloodily suppressed, mainly by Romans. Really, it was drawn in blood, unnecessary bloodshed. And later, of course, there were many things like this on a small scale. Famous, as I mentioned, famous commune of Anabaptists in Münster. And later, we had on a large scale communistic state. And why are these all attempts of building paradise on earth where everyone is equal and everyone has the same and everyone has access to everything and perfect equality within the society exists? Why does it fail? Because the assumptions are really wrong. People are not equal. We have different features. We have different preferences. We have different skills, and we have different needs. And availability of resources for us is also different, and our willingness to work, sacrifice, and develop is also different. So equality between people cannot exist and even cannot be imposed. The only equality that can be imposed, that everyone is equally poor and equally terrorized at some level, of course, if you are not party member, equally terrorized by the administrative clerks and police and army of the totalitarian communistic state. This is the only possible version of equality in this world. That is why, if we don't want to live in such dangerous utopias, we have to accept that some systems will not work because their basic assumptions are wrong and they will never be applicable to our reality. All the best. Have a nice day. Bye.